Like I said, I love a heavy drama. Nothing is heavier than selling a dead 12-year-old for sex. I don't know what to tell you.
Jesus
um,
Christ.
it's
Hey, and happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome live to Reconnected. And this week, somebody brand new to the channel has never been on for a discussion, never been on for a Reconnected. It's semi-rare lately, so thanks for coming on. Anthony King from the Cult Movies Podcast and F This Movie.
Hey, Ryan. Hello, everybody. I'm super excited about this, so I appreciate the invite, Ryan.
Well, I mean, the big thing, everybody always says when we start these, if there's a wall of physical media behind them, it's about to be a good show.
I don't this is literally the only place in my house where like we can set up because my wife works from home, and it's like she won't let me keep my stuff upstairs by our TV. And it's like, I'm not doing this because I'm trying to be like cool and like look at all my stuff. It's really just the only place I can have it. But it works out, being a movie talker. It's like, well, if I'm gonna be on camera, it works. So
Well, we could just be two movie talkers together tonight. This is exciting. Physical media. I mean, we don't know much about your history for anybody that's never listened to Cult Movies or F This Movie. So, how long have you been into movies and physical media, my friend?
Fairly new within the past probably 10, maybe even less years. I mean, I've always been a big movie fan, but collecting, and I wouldn't even call myself a collector because
Yeah.
I was a stay-at-home dad for a long time, so like I never had any sort of that discretionary funding to go out and pick out movies. But when I got married, my wife was like, "Oh, you have a lot of movies," and I thought, well, not to compared to some other people, but over the years, it just accumulates, and I can't throw away. I mean, like over where's it at? Over here, like Family Guy on DVD.
Right.
I can't throw it away. Wait, I mean, if I pull that out, it's gonna be caked in dust. But and then I mean, VHS, whatever. So
Well, one of my pickups tonight is going to be exciting for people that like VHS and vintage media. So we'll talk about that in a few minutes.
sweet.
What kind of films do you prefer to pick up on physical media?
I'm a big horror guy. But I like recently, within the past couple years, I've really fallen in love with 70s dramas, or
Interesting.
like really I love really, really heavy movies.
Mm,
And so my friends and I joke around in November, we call it Sadvember. And so I dedicate after watching all horror movies in October, November, we watch like just really, really heavy drama, Ordinary People, The Ice Storm
nice.
sort of thing, right? But it's very much my shit. I love really heavy dramas. And like I said, the 70s, of course, is everybody's favorite decade, but man, there's so many things to explore, so many emotions like coming to the surface that filmmakers just sort of put out there, and it's still so prescient to this day. So I love a good heavy 70s drama.
Nice. Sounds like you probably like Kino Lorber quite a bit then.
Yes, and thank God the sale went live today, right? The fall sale.
So many people have already placed orders. That is absolutely true.
I
We got
have to get permission from my wife before I go ahead, but yeah.
smart man. Smart. We got a lot of people in the chat already. One of the more useful comments so far, Caveman says to let everybody know that Big Lots is having a 20% off sale this Saturday and Sunday. But importantly, this includes Blu-ray, DVD, 4Ks, and it usually doesn't. That's pretty
Nice.
cool. We've been talking about this for a week leading up to this. Do you happen to know John Peters? He's a fellow Omaha resident.
I don't know if we've ever met. We may have at the Alamo one time, but I don't think we've ever met in person before. But of
Nice.
course, we're in the same circles, so it's
Right.
on social media, so it's crazy.
Yeah, John's everywhere, and he's been real excited to get more Omaha representation. He was on here last October, so I guess we go about a year between Nebraska residents. We got all kinds of exciting people on here tonight, and one of the big things is we're going to be talking about 1982. Before we get into all the announcements and all that, why 82? Is the year special to you for some reason?
Well, that's the year I was born. But I did a few years ago at this movie, I did a year-long retrospective 1982 movies, and not like I went digging and
Right.
wrote every week, wrote about 1982 movies, and then and so that was my 39th year up to my 40th, and so that's how I celebrated the last year of my 30s. But it just sort of continued, and everybody knows, some of the greatest movies of all time came out in 1982. The Thing, E.T. But there's so many hidden gems,
Yeah.
underrepresented gems, that I just kept digging into that year and still have only kind of scratched the surface. So I thought, well, heck, let's talk about 1982.
I go digging when we're doing some of these discussions, and of course, for every year out there on the internet, there's some super long, like 500 film list of here's our ranked list of the best of the year, and it's wild. 82 is one of the only years that you can get down to like 200 and still go, damn, that's a really good movie. Most years you get past like 45 and you're like, okay, yeah, I see that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, see, that was the thing. So I did 52, how many, 53, however many weeks are in a year. And like every single one of them were bangers. And I didn't cover like the super popular ones. All of them were, and there wasn't one where I watched and was like, I don't want to write about this. Every single one of them, I was like, yeah, all good, all great, loved it.
That makes sense. Yeah, my list was really hard to put together today. I think I did the top 3, and then I went, well, I could put the next 15 in the next 2 slots.
Exactly, right.
I'm excited to talk about it. Let's go into some other exciting things like recent pickups. Anything that you would like to highlight for everybody?
Well, let me see here. I get you know what? We're gonna do this right now.
We get a live unboxing.
Amazing. I had forgotten that I had this until I came down to, because I'm on a podcast break right now, so I haven't been down here for a while, and I came down and I was like, oh my god, I still have like a quarter of my stuff on the shelf still has plastic on it. I'm very guilty about that.
Same.
So I got Shiva Baby, had to, because it was what, like $5, right?
It was very cheap.
Super
cheap. And it's nearly a perfect movie.
Yeah, exactly. And then before we hopped on, I was telling you, I'm not big on the blind buys because I've been burned a lot by, so many different companies. But I don't know. This one has just Scary Tales from AgFa.
It's actually fun.
Had been called, like when they first announced it a couple years ago, I was like, and I'm not a big SOV guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. So I'm excited. I'm going to wait till October to watch that. So there's those two. And then, I am amassing my Rob Zombie collection. This one, and then 31 was the last Blu-ray that I needed. And they just on Amazon today dropped it from 15 to 8. So,
oh wow.
Or not even 8, $6.
Dang.
So I went and of course had to buy it. So I now own all the Rob Zombie movies. I'm a big Rob Zombie guy.
I'm into it. In fact, Rob Zombie just played here last week, and my mom went and saw him.
We went and saw him in Des Moines like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it was super fun. Now I'm a 40-year-old dad, so I spend a lot of time at True Value, just roaming the aisles. But also they have Movies You Buy. I don't know if you're familiar with Movies You Buy, Ryan. They're all, sort of like Big Lots sort of thing, or like the stuff you can get at Dollar Tree, right? So I picked up Final Destination, and all their movies are $5. and they're
Can't
not like
complain.
used or anything,
Yeah.
Dead Calm with Sam Neill and Nicole
I've never
Kidman
seen that
and
one.
Billy Zane. It's a thriller from Warner Brothers from the 90s, but written by George Miller. No,
Oh,
produced
wow.
by George Miller. And I'd been wanting to see it, and like usually it's like you have Spider-Man 2 and there's Magic Mike's
Right.
XX dumb stuff that I don't care about. Dead Calm was in there. I was like, what? Yes, thank you, True Value Hardware. And then The Cell, which I'd never wanted to, when this came out, I never wanted to see it, but it sort of has a growing cult that
Nice.
it sold me. So, $5. I'm a sucker
Yeah.
for every single day. I'm checking Blu-ray.com on the app, and usually I don't even care what the movie is. If it's like one of those $3.99 movies,
It's a win.
come on, how can you like? Please,
Right.
how can you not? So, yes, thank you, Paul Berryman. Dead Calm is a classic.
You're getting a lot of love for Dead Calm. We
Yeah,
got a
good.
couple Aussies that watch live right now, and then Erica from Unsung Horrors is calling out that Dead Calm is a 5-star child kill.
Oh, perfect, great. I assume she wrote about it in the book,
Of
which
course.
I'm excited to read. So, anyways, that's a few, and then I have. I'm lucky enough to get screeners from different Blu-ray companies to review over at F This Movie, and so I have,
Nice.
you know, a lot to sort of parse through, and I want to say this as someone who reviews Blu-rays, it's kind of difficult because you want to do the movie justice, so
Right.
you watch the movie and then you watch it again with the commentary. And like I have Carlito's Way, I'm trying to get through because it comes out next week. And that has like 2 commentaries. So you
It's
want to
loaded.
watch each commentary, you want to watch all the features. So like it's a huge time commitment.
Yep.
Again, tiniest violin in the world for me. But so I have let's see. Oh, I just got the Messiah of Evil one from
Ooh,
Radiance, which I'm
Radiance.
super excited about. Radiance has been very cool with me. I love Fran. And God, the stuff he's been putting out is like banger after
It
banger.
is.
I just reviewed The Dead Mother, which
Yep.
is have you watched that yet?
I've not. I just got it mine in.
Incredible film. I mean, absolute. I was blown away, and it was one of those that I watched it and I was like, interesting. It was it's like a 3-star
Yeah.
movie, but as the days gone by, it's like clearly it's a 5-star movie for me. Like it
Yeah.
is so interesting, but that's like everything Fran is putting out. The Sunday Woman, fill her up with like everything and stuff I've never even heard of. It is it's beautiful. So I'm excited to dig into the Messiah of Evil, which is a movie I love.
It's a great movie.
But he puts together such a great package. So I'm excited to dig into that. And then, like I said, I'm working my way through the Carlito's Way one from Arrow, which is just stacked to the gills
It
with
is.
all sorts of cool features. So, lots of stuff to watch.
I've got 2 that I'm going to show off, and they're both semi-selfish. One is the OCN release from Altered Innocence of Coming Out. I loved this movie and super grateful. This is the first disc that's actually been produced that I can see my name in the credits on. I edited the visual essay on this one,
Oh,
and it's
cool.
really, really important. I really hope some people check those out because that movie is astonishing, and it literally premiered the night that the wall came down in 89 or 87 or whatever it was. That
Yeah.
was it's such an important time. And then I see that he's in the chat, so let me go and bring up a comment from Brian who says the cell is awesome. But last week, and I feel bad because I forgot to bring it downstairs for last week's show. I should have shown it then. He hand delivered. He came from New York to carry a load of laser discs to his brother and hand delivered me 2 of them. And I'm going to show the Japanese cover of Starman.
Oh,
And their covers are just astonishing. All of the artwork on this, it's beautiful.
it would be cool. And of course, I don't know the logistics behind it, but like, what if, and you know, I love that companies are hiring new artists and everything, but what if there was a company that only specialized in, you know, the Far East
Yeah.
cover art? You know, that'd be, oh, killer, amazing.
Just like with Cauldron, they just got one of the artists to, wherever he's from. It's crazy that they're able to get that. I
Yeah, I
love
know.
that.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into recent watches, I think this is probably a good time to talk about cult movies and F this movie. Cult movies seems to be the baby, so let's talk about that first. Can you tell us what cult movies is?
Well, it's a podcast all about Danny Perry, and I'll pull. Let's see, pull the first book. We just finished up the first book. So what we're doing, going through Danny's books now. Danny was a film critic in the 80s and 90s, and he in 1981 released this movie called Cult Movies: The Classics, The Sleepers, The Weird, and The Wonderful.
Yep.
And wrote about 100 cult movies, and it ranges from like Citizen Kane to Casablanca to Rocky Horror Picture Show, like actual cult movies. And in each essay, he doesn't love all of the movies he writes about, but in each essay, he explains why he considers this to be a cult movie. And so, like Casablanca, which I talked about with Sam, was interesting because, like, Casablanca had this revival in the 60s where nowadays it's, you know, considered one of the greatest movies of all time. No, it's not a cult movie, which is true. Now it's not. But like in the 60s, it had this revival where these people in Boston would get together every weekend. They'd watch Casablanca and they'd go to the bar downstairs, and it'd be like a theme, and they'd all be wearing trench coats and, you know, hats and stuff. So that's why it's in his book. Anyways, the whole point of the show was to bring more love to Danny. Danny is just one of the sweetest guys I've ever met. Gotten to talk to him a lot. We check in with each other, you know, monthly, just see how things are going. And he's just such a sweet guy. One of my absolute favorite writers. When he writes about a movie he doesn't like, he doesn't shit all over it, but he explains why he doesn't like it. And then it's fun talking about that movie on the show. And a lot of the times I disagree with what Danny says, and so it's kind of cool to have that counteracting viewpoints.
Right.
So I started this, I don't know, 3 years ago at the height of the pandemic, as many people started their projects. And then one, it was to bring love to Danny. Two, it was I needed to meet more people because I was turning into a gross hermit, and I was like, I need to talk to more people. So, you know, I got to the very first episode I recorded was with Bill Ackerman from Supporting Characters, and Bill is the reason I had discovered Danny in the first place. So it was really cool. And of course, Bill and I have gotten close since then, and so I've kind of developed this family of people, who regulars that come on the show. Erica and Lance from Unsung Horrors come on all the time. You know, Jonathan Hertzberg from Fun City Editions, and then, you know, Daniel Epler and Matt Bledsoe, and Patrick Bromley from F This Movie. So Heather Drain, Rachel McPadden, just sort of 20-ish people who I consider family at this point. We get together all the time. Chris O'Neill, one of the great video essayists of our time right now. And so recently just finally got through the first book. I break it into seasons, 20 episode seasons. So I finished 5 seasons, and I'm loving my break right now, and have no urge to get back into it. Cause it's a lot of work. We discussed the movie, and then for some dumb reason I said, okay, I also want to talk about pairing suggestions. So I started with, everybody's going to offer up 3 pairing recommendations for this movie, and I was like, okay, that's way too much. And now we're down to 2, and I'm like, that's still a lot because, you know, I want to try to go out and discover movies to pair with
Right.
this, not just like do obvious stuff. You want to, recommend movies that are underseen or underrated, and um, so it sometimes turns into a lot of work. I'm not complaining, Ryan. You're doing so much more. Like, it is inspiring to see how much you're doing right now. I'm exhausted just seeing what you're doing right now. But so I'm just like, I'm loving my break right now, focusing on writing at F This Movie, which I've been writing for Patrick for the past few years. And we've become very close. And there's just 4 or 5 of us that write for fthismovie.com, and he has his podcast every Wednesday. And I have a column every Friday. It's called Notes on Film. That is, it started out as a film journal, but now it's focusing on just one movie, and then I'll figure out some sort of topic or something to bitch about for the week. So I love writing for them. So that, that's my life right now, and not complaining one bit.
That's exciting. And
Yeah.
then I'm sure you can't talk much today, but just in person, I want to say congrats on what you posted today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it's I started picking up other writing gigs is the thing, and so today I got to sign my first freelance writer contract. um it's always nice to be able to get paid for doing
Yeah.
something you're passionate about, and you work hard at it for a long time, and it eventually it pays off. So I'm just super excited about all the opportunities sort of coming my way right now, and not knock on wood, wherever wood is around me behind me, that it's not like this is it, this is your one chance, and then
Yeah.
so who knows. But yeah, I'm very excited.
I have felt that many times in the last year, I promise. Again, thank you. I appreciate everything that you're injecting into the community, and I just speaking as somebody that also does this, I know that we don't get told enough. So from one person that does enjoy pretty much everything you do, thanks for doing it, because it is great to read, great to listen to.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you, Ryan. And like I said, after last week's announcement, and then you'll talk about, but the zine, this, like, there's so much happening. And here's the one thing that one of the reasons, and I'm not bullshitting you here. The reason I'm sort of extending my break is because I've been for many years trying to work on this 80s cop book, or 80s cop movie book, like a cult movies book, but just sort of reviewing 80s cop movies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now's the time. And so I look around at people like you, and you're out like doing it. You're doing the thing. And I'm like, I'm going to do the thing. I'm going to get off my butt, and like, I'm going to do that. Like, now's my chance. So
Wow.
I appreciate you, because it's like, oh my God, look at this guy. He's like, right. Like, starting from nothing. You're just like,
Yeah.
now look what you're doing. So it's super exciting. I'm happy for you.
I appreciate that. I didn't mean to turn it into a love fest, but it's always nice and positive. What's funny is that actually is a decent segue to talk about recent watches, because I'll do mine first. I made you share pickups first. My recent watches, I'm preparing for going on the Directors Club podcast that Bill Ackerman's on all the time.
Excellent.
With Jim, and I'm going on there with Billy Ray Bruton, my co-host on the Incinerator, and somebody I produce other podcasts for. And we are going to be talking about Don Bluth. So I have been living in amazing animation for the last 3 weeks, and I'm so excited to finally just regurgitate everything and just gush for a couple hours, because man, he was my childhood. I've been trying to watch everything. I still have 3 more to go to be able to say that I've watched everything in the last month, but man, Bluth is amazing at what he does.
My wife has been asking, because we try to do a family movie night. We have two young boys. Friday nights try to do a family movie night, and she's like, we should watch All Dogs Go to Heaven. I'm like, all I remember from my childhood is being completely traumatized, because it was I just remember it being so sad. Here, me earlier just gushing about I love sad movies. I love heavy dramas.
Right.
But I mean, it's Bert and Don together. Like we gotta do it. So, but yeah, his same. We're around the same age, I assume.
Yep.
I grew up watching Don Bluth. Like he's the man.
He's amazing. What have you been diving into lately?
Let's see here. I finally dug into the oh god, hold on. The Apocalypse tetralogy from
Nice.
what's his name? Pieter's Sizulkin or Howard
Sulkin, yeah.
Sulkin. So I watched Gollum. I just watched the first one. But blown away. Like it's so weird, so interesting. It's it's super moody. And it was great to live in that world, which is terrifying to think about. But it was great to live in that world for like 90 minutes. I felt last year I read 1984 for the first time since I was in middle school.
You were feeling
And,
too happy?
oh God. It's like I had nightmares for days. I mean, like as I'm reading every single night, I read it, took a week to read it. Every single night, just had nightmares. And then I'm watching Gollum. I'm like, oh God, I feel like I'm living because I haven't seen the 1984 movie, but I feel like this might be the Polish version of night. It kind of felt like that. It's not a happy movie to live in, but I sure enjoyed it. So I'm excited to get through the other three. And it's, Sam did such a great job producing set, so I'm excited to dig into it.
Yeah, Sam Deegan has been doing great things already in the first few months that she's been full-time producing over there. It's kind of wild to see the output already, and just super excited to see what the future holds for her now.
Yeah, for sure.
As if it wasn't bright enough before.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And the other one I just wanted to mention real quick is a new movie called Landlocked that premiered at Salem Horror Fest in 2021. And then I think a month later was down at Chattanooga. And then, as a lot of film festival movies do, it just sort of disappeared.
Yep.
But reappeared on Tubi completely free for anybody to watch earlier this year. Landlocked from filmmaker, let me pull this up, Paul Owens. And it's he directs his brother, his other brother, and his dad. And that's it. And it's this crazy sort of meta, moody, really unsettling story about a kid, this older kid who gets a tape sent to him in the mail, and it's his dad saying, the house is going to be torn down a year after I die, so you need to go clean it out. So apparently guy's dead. Kid goes back to the house and finds an old VHS camera and notices as he looks through the viewfinder, he can see through the past. And so he goes around sort of recording memories and becomes obsessed with that. It's an incredible movie, like, made for $0. But it is, I don't know. I was so blown away by it that I wrote about it last week at F This Movie. And since had gotten to talk to Paul over Instagram Messenger and sort of struck up a conversation. So it's an incredible movie, completely free. And it's like it was 75 minutes long on Tubi. Watch it. It is really, really interesting. So that's Landlocked. But other than that, just sort of going through my screeners and writing. So
Landlocked sounds like it'd be a fun double feature with Frequency.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah, man, I haven't watched Frequency. That's a good
Frequency is great.
I dig that. Yeah.
Very underseen too.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have a ton of time, but let's get right into 1982. We talked about why it was important. Obviously, birth year is a big thing. But let's just start with our top 5, and then if you're going to hang out for Vinegar Syndrome, maybe after we can go into like some honorable mentions, because
Sure.
oh my god, do I have a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
All right, what's your number 5 for 1982 favorite films?
So again, these aren't necessarily favorite, but these are 5 that I love that live in my head now and are definitely um, in the group of favorites. So I'm going to start with The Gray Fox, starring Robert Foxworth, from director Philip Borsos. And have you seen The Gray Fox?
I've not.
Okay, I don't know if it's on the Kino sale or not, but if it is, absolutely pick it up because it is an incredible film. It's about an aging train robber. He gets out of jail after being in for a long time, tries to go clean, realizes I'm too old to learn anything new. I know how to do one thing and I do it well, and that's rob trains. And he gets in a relationship with Jackie Burroughs, and it's a very sweet sort of grown up romance movie, but also funny because Robert Foxworth is, he's older in this movie, and it's super charming. So I love The Gray Fox.
I am probably going to want to check that one out. I don't know if it was in the sale. I'm going to have to go look for that.
Yeah.
I also feel terrible now because all 5 of mine are very mainstream titles.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
I believe we're probably going to cover 2 very different sides of the coin tonight.
Good.
My number 5 is one that I just talked about probably 6 or 7 weeks ago on here. Another one that we're dying to get a Blu-ray of, Pink Floyd's The Wall.
Oh.
I have seen this movie way too many times before I was like 15 years old. I don't understand why I watched this so much when I was younger. It's probably just because of how much music was important to both of my parents, and it was huge in my life. But the surrealism that is deep in this movie is something that I just gravitated to. And I was a super goody two shoes kid. I'd never done any drugs. Don't know why, but man, this movie hit me hard when I was younger. Love The Wall, and give us a Blu-ray, please.
That is insane that it doesn't have a Blu-ray. And The Wall, I've never seen The Wall. And I same as you, grew up in a musical house, always listen to music. Also goody two shoes, and but I was always interested in sort of drug culture, living vicariously through music and through stuff. Yeah.
All right, what is your number 4?
Number 4, I'm gonna go with a Randall Kleiser movie. I dig Randall Kleiser. He made some interesting movies, but this one I absolutely love. It's Summer Lovers, starring Peter Gallagher, and Daryl Hannah, and Valerie Kennison. And it's such a sweet sort of uber horny romance movie. Peter Gallagher and Daryl Hannah are summering during college break in the Greek islands, and they start a menage with Valerie Kennison, and it's such a sweet romantic movie shot on location. Of course, it's stunningly beautiful. Also a Blu-ray from Kino that again, I don't know if it's in the sale or not, but I'm not pimping Kino here. It's just this is the way it worked out. But super, I love this movie. This is one I wrote about it when I did that series, and immediately bought the Blu-ray, and then have watched it, every summer since. So
nice.
Yeah.
If they made a movie like that nowadays, it would be on some shitty green screen, and it would be shot in some studio. It would not have the same feeling. It would be ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
My number 4 is one that I watched again way too many times. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Like, this movie captures the essence. There's something about this, and the sad thing is it probably boils down to it has a female touch to it.
Yep.
It is such a uniquely written, hilarious, but also just realistic look at everything. Everything they touch on is this in this was ahead of its time, done in a way that was safe and real and human and not over the top. Let's focus on 16-year-olds losing their virginity before prom, which has always been a weird trope in movies for me. And it's just more of like the fumbling awkwardness of life and growth.
Yeah, it's one of the most honest, brutally honest coming of age stories, and it is still as relevant because we've all gone through that growing up, coming of age. Yes, we're in different parts of the country or different eras, but we're all experiencing the same thing.
Yep.
Life is difficult when you're that age, and when I hear people say, "Oh man, I wish I could go back to high school," I think, "Are you fucking kidding me?
I hated high school.
Terrible. That's such a hard time." And Fast Times absolutely nails it. Love that movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, so this one is one I just watched for the first time this year. Came out on Blu-ray for the first time from Arrow, and it's Louis Teague's Fighting Back.
Oh wow.
Have you watched this yet? Did you get that disc?
I believe I have it, but I don't even think I've seen the whole thing, but it's one that I spent some time looking into and like read a lot about and flipped through some of the scenes, and it's on, if I don't have it, it's on my must watch list soon. So
it's I love Tom Skerritt, another one who was very comforting to see on screen. Of course, Picket Fences, grew up watching that. And he plays a character not like his character on Picket Fences at all. He's this deli owner in Philadelphia, and he's tired of the crime in his neighborhood, and so he and his friends start sort of like this neighborhood watch vigilante program, and sometimes take it too far and like gets power hungry, and then ends up saving some woman's life or something, where he gets known citywide and is on the news, and then he is begged to run for office, and then it ends this sort of ambiguous ending where it's this campaign party, and he wins, but does he really want this? It's so great and gritty. We don't have enough Philly movies,
right.
Or maybe we do, and I just haven't seen enough of them. This is an incredible movie. It's it's about Italian American heritage, and Tom Skerritt, Patti LuPone are a couple in this movie. Michael Sarrazin is his friend or brother-in-law, maybe. Incredible movie, great package from Arrow. Love it.
Yeah, Arrow, when they hit it out of the park, man, they are great
so far. Yeah.
My number 3 is one that was foundational for me. I am a huge fan, and it's ridiculous that my top 3 you could say are very similar, but my number 3 is foundational for multiple reasons. I love horror. I love the writer. I love the director. I love anthology films. I got to talk about Creepshow.
Oh yeah.
Stephen King is, for so many of us, he was all of our like unique gateways, because not only did many of us read him, but saw his adaptations and really dove into this other world where he could, just like I just talked about with Fast Times, he really tells the story of adolescence in a way that most writers cannot capture appropriately. It's more realistic, more done in a way that is something that the reader can hold on to and have it mean more, and somehow that shows up in Creepshow. It works so well because they're all just these humane stories that obviously they're not realistic for the most part, but they have these humane touches that just make you go, fuck, this is amazing.
Yeah.
The other big thing, Stephen King is in it, and he's got my last name in the movie, Jordy Verrill. I have to grab onto that. That's a big deal.
Well, I'll be dipped in shit.
I love that segment. Obviously the crate is great. Ted Danson's segment with Leslie Nielsen is incredible. Adrienne Barbeau's in this. I didn't even say George A. Romero yet. Like the fact that he and Stephen King came together,
like perfect.
right,
They work so well together. Oh.
right. There's so much I could say, but I will stop here because I mean, 5 stories with a great wraparound. Like this got me into anthology horror, which I love now.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
same.
and I do want to say it is Stephen King's birthday today, so happy birthday
Oh,
to the king.
all right. Real quick question: do you like Creepshow or Creepshow 2 better?
I'm actually a Creepshow person. Creepshow 2 is not bad, but I saw it way after Creepshow,
Okay.
so it just didn't live up to the first one for me. I don't remember why that one was so out of touch for me from the first one, but yeah, the first one I saw very young. The second one was like maybe 13 or 14.
Okay. I see. I saw Creepshow 2 first, like as an adult, and then saw Creepshow a couple years later. Um, and I think most people probably prefer the first one. But I prefer the second one. And most people hate the first segment, the with the cigar store Indian.
Yeah,
I love that segment.
I
So
like it a lot, and I also really like. Obviously, the raft is probably the best segment out of
oh
both of
yeah, they're
them.
all so good.
But I don't know. I think the first one just flows better for me.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, maybe it is like whichever one you saw first. I don't know. I think
Could
Ryan's have
be.
conniptions. Sorry, Ryan. You love what you love. You love what you love.
Oh, he's telling me how dare.
Oh,
Wow.
oh my. Okay, well, look at that. I'm shocked that people. All right, come into bat for a creep show too. I appreciate that.
Amazing. Amazing.
Okay, my what are we at? Number 2. Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Oh, it's hysterical. Um, damn it, we're just gonna talk about Creepshow for the rest of the time. I'm gonna talk about another Kino disc. No, this isn't Kino. My apologies. It's Warner Archive. Cannery Row from
Okay.
director David S. Rowe, and it stars Nick Nolte and another childhood crush of mine, Deborah Winger.
Nice.
Um, and he is a doctor and this is it's I can't remember, it's early 1900s, where the canneries of California, like in Monterey, and have all like businesses dried up, and so everybody's out of work. And so Nick Nolte is sort of like the little village doctor, and Deborah Winger is this new woman that moves into town, and he like the only work for her is in this brothel, and she doesn't really do the sex work or anything, but so they develop this really funny, very charming romance. Again, this is sort of like one of those adult sort of romance movies. um it's hysterical. There's a dancing scene between Nolte and Winger, like I had me rolling. I was in tears watching it. Again, I wrote about it for F this movie a few years ago, immediately bought the Blu-ray afterwards, and have watched it probably half a dozen times since. It is so charming. And the setting, like it's just, it's obviously all on this sound stage, but it's such a charming, it's like I want to live in this little place. It's really cool.
I love this movie. This is one that was on my honorable mention list, so I won't
Oh,
have to talk
cool.
about it later. But yeah, this one is great. I love Nick Nolte before he got a little weird. Um,
I
no,
like
Nolte.
weird Nolte too.
Well, the weird choices that he makes are great. It's the weird outside of the movies Nolte that's always awkward. Yeah, Deborah Winger is great. This like really got that essence of the 40s, I think is what they were shooting for, and
Okay.
it's just awesome. It's one of those worlds where you're like, I could see living there. This is
Oh,
pretty cool.
absolutely. Like I'll live on the streets, sure, because it's you're in California, decent weather. You listen to the waves lap up on, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. If you've not seen this one, please check out this disc. It's
Yes.
a really good looking Blu-ray too.
Yep.
Number 2 is probably not much of a surprise because I've talked about this many times on this channel. I think this is maybe one of the like second tier gateway horrors. I got to go with Poltergeist. This movie is perfection for me. Incredible setting. We've got what I've said this many times on the channel, so people are going to hate me saying this again, but we have what I think is the most realistic couple in horror ever.
Absolutely. Yes.
They don't hate each other. They don't fight at all. They support each other even through this fucking weird phenomenon that they're facing. They get high after their kids go to bed. They just hang out and watch TV. This movie is wild. It goes further than you expect, and this movie is just so perfect from start to finish, and it's creepy as hell. Toby Hooper killed this movie.
Oh God, it's so my boys have been asking. I have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old. Oh boy, I hope it's not going to be on mine. It's not going to be on mine. So holy crap. Sorry, folks. Damn it, I forgot what I was saying. My boys have been asking to see it. My 10-year-old would be able to handle it. I think Poltergeist is at 41. I think Poltergeist is still scary, and so I'm a little hesitant to show my 5-year-old. Now here's the kicker. My 5-year-old has seen A Nightmare on Elm Street. He has seen The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I'm hesitant to show him Poltergeist, a PG-rated movie.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
Great movie.
Wow, Zombies Ate My Arm says prefers Poltergeist 2.
You know what? I've never seen the second one, but I love Poltergeist 3.
Poltergeist 2 is still pretty good.
Yeah, cool. I missed out on Scream Factory's 2, but then like they sold out of 3 too, but then they came back and said, we have, a dozen or 20,
right,
whatever copies. And so I hopped on there real quick and had to
nice.
I love Poltergeist 3. Okay. So my number 1, which isn't really my number 1, but this is a movie that is not on Blu-ray. It absolutely freaking should be on Blu-ray. Even if they don't clean it up, it needs to be on disc is what it needs. It's Paul Morrissey's 40 Deuce. Now, Morrissey, of course, was part of the Factory, Andy Warhol's Factory, and did a lot of interesting work. And I'm a big Paul Morrissey fan. He did Trash. He did, a bunch of stuff with D'Alessandro. 40 Deuce is Morrissey out on his own, and it is a play written by Alan Bown, and it feels like a filmed play. And what it is, you have these street hustlers. I don't know why Esai Morales keeps coming up. He's come up 3 times so far in this episode. You have Kevin Bacon in a very early role. You have Mark Keelan. You have Tommy Cetera and Esai Morales. They're 4 hustlers who work for a pimp, and they have like this really nasty sex apartment, like they use for their hookups and everything. And so they introduce this new kid who's going to be one of the sex workers. He's like, he's a child, 12, 13, 14 years old. But he overdoses on drugs and dies. And so they have this client coming up played by Orson Bean. And Orson Bean is an older gentleman, and he wants, this underage thing. And the guys try to sell him this dead underage boy for sexual purposes. It's very dark. It's not
learning
funny.
A lot about you tonight, Anthony.
Yeah, it's. I don't know why I shouldn't be smiling or laughing. This is not a funny movie. Like I said, I love a heavy drama. Nothing is heavier than selling a dead 12-year-old for sex. I don't know what to tell you. Here's the thing. It's so interesting how Morrissey films this. He films this. in these long takes with two cameras, one constantly on Orson Bean and the other constantly on the Hustlers, and no cuts. We're just watching like it's a filmed play in this disgusting apartment, and the plot is very repulsive. It's all about the performances. It is incredible. I mean, I'm talking like 15 to 20 minutes at a take with no cuts. Incredible performances. This movie, as they say, is not for everybody.
I'm
But
shocked.
it is very, very interesting. I want to big shout out to our friend Chris O'Neill, who sent me. He said, have you ever seen 40 Deuce? No, I've never heard of it. He said, you have to watch it. And so he sent me 40 Deuce. And, you know, Chris is my pusher. He's my Irish pusher.
Chris is amazing. That's fantastic. Okay, so many people saying that their picks would be 5 out of 5 different from both of us. I'm sure that's probably the case for many of these. I will say going into this, E.T. is a great movie. It's not on my list. I'm sorry. Blade Runner, I've been very high on it previously. I've been very low on it previously. It's not on my list. I'm sorry. The Thing, obviously everybody loves The Thing. It's not on Anthony's list. Thankfully, it is my number one.
Okay,
And I saved the other Laserdisc that was brought to me. This is the Japanese Laserdisc of The Thing.
Oh my God.
And I am so stoked to have this. I had to wait and make people think I wasn't going to pick this because it's a perfect movie. This is like the most rewatchable film of all time.
Yeah.
I adore this movie. I've watched it, God, probably 312 times at least. Absolutely adore this movie.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the chat. The Deaf Crocodile comes in, and what the hell have I walked into? I'm sorry.
It's perfect.
Yeah, the thing is insanely rewatchable. That's the thing. Like when I on Letterboxd, I have like a top 100, and it's all for me. It's all about rewatchability. It's not the best. It's what can I watch over and over. The Thing I can watch over and over and over. That might be my favorite 1982 movie. Just because I'll watch it. You can watch it half a dozen times a year and not get sick of it. Yeah.
And that's the thing. 1982 has so many great movies. This is not easy to do at all. It's I mean, the amount of stuff that I could have listed. I mean, even I said that we would go into honorable mentions later, but like I've been diving into Don Bluth. The Secret of Nim came out in 1982, and it's a freaking masterpiece. And it's what he left Disney for, and it's so much more than just an animated decent movie. It is exactly what like was needed at that time. It was the answer to the super saccharine Disney flavor that everybody had after going to the theater for every single one. It was the response that was real, that was like they showed blood. Oh my God, what a terrible thing. They're actually sitting in situations that Disney would never put some of their characters into, and it's a freaking masterpiece.
Yeah, man. You know what? I haven't seen Secret of Nim since I was a kid. I feel like would they have re-released that in the theaters? I feel like I saw that in the theater. Maybe it was American Tail.
Yeah, I mean they probably could have.
But yeah, man, that was such a huge part of my childhood too, man.
Yeah, there's a lot from Don Bluth that affected me, but Secret of Nim, especially watching it again this month, I was just blown away. It's so well done. It's animated beautifully. Some of the stuff that they were able to pull off, I don't even think Disney's done. Like the way that they took some of their 3D animations and made it look on a clear backboard, like they were coming around something in an animated world.
Yes.
That doesn't really get done in a lot of stuff that isn't computer generated. It was so well done back then.
So my dad was an artist. What time we got? 7 minutes. Was an artist, and his art to me really resembled Ralph Bakshi's art. And so I don't love hardly any of Bakshi's movies. I think they're fine, but I find them comforting because the art style reminds me of my
Right.
dad's. But my dad could mimic. I mean, this was the talent he had. He could mimic Don Bluth's style too. And so, man, maybe that might be a good kind of trip down memory lane. We'll do Secret of Nim. We'll do All Dogs to Go to Heaven. God, yeah, his art is still incomparable.
Not to make this the Don Bluth love hour ahead of time, but man, if you have not watched Anastasia in a long time,
Oh my God,
that movie is a masterpiece.
so good. Oh my God, so good. Well, and I always had a huge crush on Meg Ryan, so like
Yep.
that was a huge sell for me. Love John Cusack. Of course, they're not singing that, but I love the music. I mean, everything about that movie is, oh God, it's so good.
As we bring up Vinegar Syndrome on the screen, we still got a good 5 minutes. You want to run through some honorable mentions real quick?
You bet, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna throw out. Okay, I love Night Shift.
Okay. It was on my list too. Yeah.
Okay, so like this was a huge when Warner Archive announced this, right? It was huge. And so picked up the Blu-ray and just another insane rewatchable movie because Michael Keaton is he's in his kind of crazy prime. Keaton pairs perfectly with the nebbishy Henry Winkler, and then Shelley Long is so charming in this movie. But here's the thing, the theme song, can I work you on the night shift? I can't remember who the hell sang it. Jonathan Hertzberg created an incredible Dirty Old New York playlist on Spotify. I encourage people to go find it. And he has the theme song to Night Shift on that playlist. And so we listen to that. We usually put on that playlist for our dinner music. And Night Shift is my 10-year-old's favorite song of all time. And I remember when I told him, because he's sitting there, like, I remember one night we drove out for ice cream and he's in the front seat with me and he's singing along with the song. And I said, "Do you know what you're singing about?" And he said, "No." I said, "You're singing about prostitutes, and sex workers." And he's like, "Oh my gosh." So I love Night Shift. It's such a funny movie.
It's a good one. I'm going to do like lightning round a couple of mine. Like I said, E.T., great. Ladies and Gentlemen, The Fabulous Stains. I could talk about that movie for like 4 hours. That movie is damn near perfect as well. If you've never seen it, please check it out. Imprint put out a really good Blu-ray. Schrader's Cat People. Oh, yeah. Wild movie. Liquid Sky does not get enough love. Liquid Sky, older Vinegar Syndrome release. Incredible movie. We talked about Brother Belial earlier. Basket Case. I adore Basket Case. Yeah, 82 was a weird year for those like grindhousey type films, but man, Basket Case really nailed some of that seedy New York, like strong New York feeling.
Yeah.
I got a handful more. I've got Slumber Party Massacre. It's incredible.
Yep.
The Entity, not talked about enough. Great movie.
So good.
Juan Piquer Simone's Pieces. If you've never seen it, like this is one of the better ridiculous giallos out there. Love Pieces. King of Comedy, one of my favorites. Got to bring up Scorsese. Tron, it's a classic. It's very good. It would never be near my top 5. And then I'm gonna go for my real deep cut. Speaking of Warner Archive, Death Trap. Death Trap is a wonderful movie.
Death Trap. Oh yes, great. Talk about another film to play, like incredible movie. Let me throw my favorite year. Love my favorite year. Tootsie, I really love. My favorite Fulci of all time, New York Ripper. It's a nice little romp, light movie there. Chan is Missing. Criterion finally put that out last year. Incredible San Francisco movie. Come back to the Five and Dime. Jimmy Dean is another play that Altman filmed. And then I'll throw out one more. The Border. Have you seen The Border?
I love The Border. It's in the Kino sale right now. So if you've never seen The Border, get Jack Nicholson's The Border. It's incredible.
It's really, yeah, really good. Great 80s cop movie. Yeah.
Love that movie. Okay,
Yeah.
82 is amazing. Basically,
Oh, yeah.
we had two weeks in a row where we did a year in film, and they were both just ridiculously good years.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, it's been an incredible night having somebody brand new to the show. Thank you. 1982, tons of announcements. Vinegar Syndrome Live. Anything else about either of your F This Movie or cult movies that you want to cover for everybody?
Just head to fthismovie.com every Friday. That's when my column appears. And then on Tuesdays I'll have Blu-ray reviews over there. And eventually I'll get the podcasting bug again and get back to volumes 2 and 3 of cult movies. But I'm just having fun, hanging out, getting to meet new people like Mr. Verrill here and talk to everybody on the chat here. This has been a blast. This is awesome.
I'm glad that we could make you feel comfortable in your first live show. I think you did pretty incredible.
Thanks. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I think this is probably a perfect time to call it for tonight. We don't have a ton to cover with just a couple titles being announced, and I appreciate everybody hanging out for another live. We'll be live again next Thursday. I got another interview going up on Monday. More exciting stuff all the time. If you're into the Physical Media Advocate, the zine link is in the description below. Join the Patreon. I never hyped that up enough. We're doing our watch along this weekend. If you join up now, you can go vote on the poll. We're going to watch in a Discord Sunday night, so you got plenty of time to join up and vote and get ready to watch with us. All that being said, again, Anthony, this has been amazing. I hope you come back again.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to. This is a lot of fun.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. See you next Thursday, and have a good week. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share it with someone else that may appreciate this.